people that you work with, I don't know what I'm doing. And so you kind of don't know what you don't know. That's just the way I think that the business is.
Yeah.
Last year, so I finished up a master's course last year that was in healthcare innovation. And under that research, I was doing a lot of research on Alzheimer's. And I just started kind of writing down something one day, and it kind of turned into what I thought would be a good kid's book, kind of showing people about the, showing from a kid's perspective what Alzheimer's might look like. Granted, it's, not the end stages of Alzheimer's where it's kind of ugly. But I wanted the kids to understand that these are kinds of things that could happen throughout the progression of Alzheimer's. So I went ahead and I wrote, like I said, wrote that down, and then I kind of formulated in my mind a book and then images to go along with the book that I thought would capture it. Went out, hired an artist, got some good graphics, which I can show you. I've got, the Amazon page now. I've got a YouTube video going. I sent you links to those.
Yeah, I saw that.
Facebook page. So, but it's been slow because, again, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I don't know if people can even find the dang thing and buy it. So I'm sure that you can probably help me understand.
Yeah, this is really great progress, Michael. Yeah, I really love where you're coming from with that. You're using your education background to deliver something that people need, right? Based on research that's been done.
Yeah.
And so you're conveying, in my mind, I see it as, even though it's part of your curriculum, it feels like a heartfelt message to me, right? It's the book. Give us the book title again.
Grandma is my friend.
Grandma is my friend.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a book about Alzheimer's and how children, from a child's perspective, right, would see this developing and would gain some understanding through this book.
Correct. And so the book, actually, what I envision the book to do would be to convey kind of that early onset Alzheimer's. So Alzheimer's is about a 10-year progression from when it starts to kind of become noticeable until end stage, where the person might end up being in some kind of a managed care living facility. But throughout those stages, there are kind of smaller stages and things that people close to that person might notice that would indicate, potential for memory loss, things that maybe just before it would be easy, but maybe they can't quite recall, their grandchild's name. I know for myself, my grandmother was actually in Granada Hills, and I was born in Granada Hills, but she would get lost in Burbank. Or she would call me by, she would call everybody Mijo. It's just that sort of thing. And those sorts of things that are not really overt, but kind of, oh, she's not calling me Mike anymore. Or, she's not calling my cousin by his name.
So Mijo is like
my son, my baby, my kid. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's a Spanish term of endearment, right?
Right, it's definitely a term of endearment, but right, you also want to feel like she's got your name too, because that's part of you, right?
It's a connection, right?
Yeah.
So in a lot of instances, what will happen is the person will actually call a child by their sibling's name, because that's where the memory recalls from, is earlier in their lives. So the last, say, 20 or 30, 40 years, they might not be able to have that rapid memory, but there are still linkages back into the deep parts of their brain. So, if you had an Uncle Bob and your name is Michael, she might say, hey, Bobby, what are you doing these days, right?
Yeah. And so so the target audience is for families, is that correct?
That's the way I envisioned it. Possibly, I'm thinking maybe a parent who might be the care provider, or might be struggling with maybe a decision as to when is the right time, to get mom or dad in-home help. kind of the earlier stages of the disease, or possibly even they recognize that the disease may become part of their family. They might have young kids, and so they might want to help explain it, or even somebody who has had experience might want to pass this on and share it with somebody that they might find can use this due to a situation going on in their lives.
Now, is it more of a narrative story or more of like a workbook?
No, no, it's so I had thought about the workbook concept at some point, but this is more of a narrative story. It's about, a boy. Grandma was there when he was born. Grandma, needed his help in the kitchen. They used to play with cars and dinosaurs and blocks, as a grandma normally would. But as the grandma aged through the progression of the disease, so did the boy. And so the boy would recognize things like, for instance, if they would go get ice cream, maybe the boy would have to lead her home because he's probably aware that, grandma, could use a little bit of help. Maybe not even in that cognizant of a fashion, but, okay, we're going to help each other get to the next stage. And it's kind of this layering of what's happening with the disease as the boy is getting older. So while one day the boy might be helping grandma get the mail, the next day he's turning on off the stove for her because maybe she forgets to turn off the stove every once in a while.
So and so you went to a school program where you learned about this. So where is the support? Who are the groups that support this now? Support families going through Alzheimer's. Who are some of those groups?
I live in Phoenix, and we have the Banner Alzheimer's Association, or the Banner Alzheimer's Group. It's a world-renowned group that really helps people go through the progression of the disease. They have informational pamphlets and those sorts of things. I used to work at Banner Health, and so I'm friendly with some of the participants in that program. But what they do is they go to the communities, and so they will go and present to the city of Phoenix. Go out to Sun City and kind of, show them what different materials and what are some of the symptoms and signs that they might observe. And then once the disease gets to a certain point, what other methods of help are available.
So that sounds to me like that would be an opportunity right there. You already know some people, and this is a group that already supports these people, right, in our society, in the U.S. at least, right? Or are they worldwide? It's a worldwide group,
right.
Or U.S.?
No, this is really specifically to the Phoenix area.
Phoenix, okay, Phoenix.
Yeah.
Well, this is great because you're local to Phoenix,
Right.
right? And you know some of those people. So to me, from the marketing perspective, I feel like that is a terrific opportunity. Have you talked to those people yet at all about this project?
No, I haven't. Essentially, I've been, kind of trying to do some, other marketing things, SEO, on my own, which of course, I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm trying to learn as I go, but of course, with a full-time job, it's a little bit more challenging, of course, than sometimes than others.
Oh, absolutely. Well, at some point, I really encourage you to make that be part of your marketing plan, is that you're going to reach out to those people who are already in this industry, and they're already trying to talk to people, and they're experts, right? So you're aligning yourself with the experts in the field. Also, it's nice that it's a local group and you are local too. So all of those things to me spell like that's an amazing opportunity in terms of marketing. These are the kinds of things that I encourage you to look for. So we have this group identified, and then as you would expand beyond the local, right, then you would be looking for other groups, right, that would have other local affiliations or national affiliations, and get in front of them. But start with where you feel like it's really great if you can start with a win, right? You feel you have stronger connection with these people because they already know you, right? They're like Michael Stark. I know him. He's a great person. Oh, he's got this book. That's amazing. you want to pass this on to this person because they're right now there's this event happening and we can put you in front of these people, right? And you could talk to these people. So what the closer, the more you make yourself like expert status. So the act of writing a book already does that in a way, right? It's already like I wrote a book, right? And people that most people can't do that, right? You might feel like, oh, this isn't special. I just wrote a book. That's you feeling that way. Other people look at you very differently. They'll go, oh, you did what? You wrote a book, right? They see you as an expert, even if you don't feel that way in your own self. And that's okay. You don't have to feel that way, but it's great that other people feel that way because then they can help you to promote the message through your book, right? So it's a supportive message. It's a very helpful message. So you don't want to do your message a disservice by keeping it a secret, right? So you gotta believe me, I've been through this myself, and I have lots of friends, and I have the same discussion with them. I even have it internally that I'm having with you right now, right? Just don't hold that back. You've done this work. Now you gotta, at some point you gotta, and it's scary. It's scary because there's a risk. There can be a fear. Like, what if anything? What if I'm successful? What if I'm not successful? Those can both be fears. But at some point, and it's okay if you don't feel like doing that today, right? But just get it in mind that that is something you're gonna do at some point along the way, right?
One question that I had was, you mentioned the groups and you mentioned the connections with the groups. So would you even, so I have a former colleague that is, helping out that Alzheimer's group. Would you, when would you ask or say would be the right time would be to ask for referrals to groups outside of the area as well as inside the area? Would you rather cultivate that relationship a little bit first and say, hey, what do you think of this? I'd love your feedback. This is what I'm doing. Do you think this would be useful and beneficial? And then from there, okay, in a month or two, I've reached out to some of your local groups. They've, had some kind of affinity for it. Are there others outside the area that you might recommend?
Yeah, this is a process of finding your champions. So there's going to be a lot of people who aren't your champions, and there might be some false champions along the way, right? You might meet somebody and they say, I love it. This is the best thing ever, but they're not going to help you, right? You have to also look at their actions, and you find those people whose actions align with their words, and they really are your champion, and they really are going to help you. And then when you find that, the floodgates will start to open, right? And it is definitely a process, and I like the way you're thinking about it, right? You want to cultivate relationships, and you want to look for the right moments. But also it's finding the right people who are open to it. Because some people, no matter how long you wait and hope, they'll never be open to it. But other people, they might be open to it right away. So it's okay to get a no, because a no means that you have another place to go with this. So sometimes, and I'll speak from my own experience, sometimes I've worked so hard on projects and then I'll get a no, but I got a no, right? And that's valuable because I know that a solid no is real valuable. It's almost as valuable as a solid yes, because I know where not to put my energy. And if I get a solid yes, I know exactly where to put my energy. But the maybes, that could really waste your time. So don't make your own maybes, right? Go ahead and ping pong it around and get the yeses and the nos, and look for the people who are really in alignment with your message, and those are the people to speak to. So that's why the groups with Alzheimer's Association, right? Some of them really might want to promote you. Some of them They might just say no. That's fine. But groups are definitely a really strong source for you for marketing, because they're talking to the people you need to get your message to. They already have that connection. Then you become a part of that, and then you're there. You're already there. So what I see from my perspective is marketing, that you've already done a lot of this research and groundwork. And so the next, again, doesn't have to be this minute, doesn't have to, and I know you're busy, but when you have the time, and it's just part of like mindset too, just setting your mind that this is going to be part of what I'm going to do. And Michael said it's okay for me to get a no, and it's okay for me to get a yes. And, again, I've been through it before, and I'll go through it again. I get all kinds of no's. And you do too, right? We've all gotten no's, and it didn't end us, right? It didn't end anything. But sometimes, and I don't believe that about this project, but sometimes it's the wrong project, or it's the wrong time. And that's okay too. You might fall in love with a project and work so hard on it, and then you get a no from everyone. And I've actually experienced that, right? And I thought, this is the most amazing thing ever, and proved it to myself a million times, and got a million no's, and realized the world is not ready. I have to abandon this baby that I've put all my love into, and I have to move on to the next one. What does the world want from me? And you'll, by making those mistakes, then you move to the next one, where closer to what the world, and that's why it's great to do that research ahead of time, which you've done. That's why I don't believe that this is one of those, projects that the world is not ready for, because you've done all that research. But you have to let the world tell you. I can't tell you. I'm just telling you what I see. Like, the world will tell us, right? So I love what you've done. Like you did the YouTube video, right? I took a quick look at it. I didn't have my volume up, so I couldn't hear. Is there
There is not volume. That's so I recruited my 14-year-old son, who's pretty good at putting videos together. My other son is actually going to be a film student at ASU, and I've got a different vision for kind of a more graphically appealing, higher definition images, and maybe kind of a read along for younger kids, that it might be kind of a storybook on YouTube.
That's great. Yeah. So all these things that you're making, right? They're becoming a family project, and there's value in that, right? I also work with my son. He's 15, and I work with him on projects. And I know part of why I do it is just so he can feel like he's getting an experience doing something he already wants to do. And then I feel like it's a family bonding experience. He feels like it's job experience. So it's a win-win, right? So, and that's fine. Those things I think are beautiful and fine, and just go for those things, do those things. And then also, one thing we really want to think about is hardcore marketing. Like, what is your best path to getting your message to the people, right? So it might be that you need to find closer ways to promote the book, right? It feels like you're going wide. Again, I don't want to say that's wrong, because it's awesome to work with your kids. But when you keep going wide rather than going forward, right? So going forward with those connections that you've got, that's going to give you some yeses and nos, which is going to be real good info. Once you get your first customers, now, have you made sales? This is a huge threshold.
I have not, nothing, one or two here and there. And actually, I sold one in Germany. I've sold a couple in Japan. So it's, so I know that there's a market for it. Sold it, even a handful, here in the States. For some reason though, I was getting a lot of page views from the Kindle edition in Japan. So maybe people that were trying to teach their kids English. I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
Oh, now were they your target market, or they're trying to teach English?
No. I'm assuming that it was somebody in Japan trying to teach English. I know that the
Ah,
Japanese culture has a higher preponderance of having their elders live within the home. And then
oh
they do
yeah.
have a fairly high incidence of dementia related diseases in that culture as well. So,
Now, the
yeah.
wonderful thing about this story that I'm hearing from you right now is that you've stumbled upon a target audience that you didn't,
Yeah.
I'm guessing, you might not have known that that existed when you started making your book.
Yeah, I was hoping, you cross your fingers and you just want to get it in front of other people. And
Yeah.
but I was, and then my next step was, okay, well then if it's, if people over there are buying it, then do I turn this into a Japanese kind of addition to, put forth into that market as well?
Yeah, that's right. So that's great. You're listening to your audience, right? They're telling you something, which is, hey, this is popular in Japan, right? You know, who knew? But now maybe that means that you would do a translation for Japan. So um, what I want to address is getting that. So it sounds like you've sold, but have you had some sort of face-to-face interaction with somebody who's bought the book?
No.
Okay, so one of the things that can be really valuable is the concept of an avatar, right? And the shortcut to that avatar is to meet the person face to face who's buying the book. So
Okay.
now, if you position yourself as an expert and get in front of a room full of people, right, then you will see those people's faces, and you can, after doing some sort of presentation, you can say, hey, I got my book available, right? Just like a band, when they do
Sure.
something, you can do a reading from your book, and then you can have a little, table set up, right? And maybe somebody comes by and buys your book, maybe different people, and you start to get an amalgamation of like, these are the kinds of people that are buying. And when you do get that, I really want you to think about like, why did this person buy? What's their demographic, right? Is this a grandma? Is this a mom doing it for a kid? Is this a father doing it for his son and grandma lives with them, right? Figuring out those relationships, asking them some questions. If you get the chance to talk to your audience, get their words, right? Ask them questions, and then you can use those words to sell your book to the next person.
Yeah. Okay.
So the way we think about our own book marketing is very different than the way other people are going to verbalize it, right? So you have all this wealth of education that's gone into this, right? But that's why you were able to make this book. Other
Right.
people, they're not going to go do all that education, but they want to get the benefit of your education, and they're going to have different words they use to describe the value of your book to other potential customers. You want to capture those words. So testimonials, getting feedback, if you can find a way to, even if, and I do caution against giving away a free book.
Mm-hmm.
If you can give something else away, if there's something else related to it, I know you're going wide and you're making videos and things like that. Maybe if there's, I don't know, a poster or something like that, and then you could give something away in exchange for a testimonial,
Mm-hmm.
in exchange for getting them to give you the feedback about the book. I don't know. That's an idea, right? These are marketing ideas. I'm presenting these to you, because I'm listening to you. I'm trying to give you what I think is the best strategy based on my experience. But just take what works for you, right? If I tell you stuff and that doesn't make sense, that's okay, right? Maybe it'll make sense later. Maybe never makes sense, based on what you're coming from, right?
Right. Well, I mean, your experience is worth the price of admission, Michael, for sure. I do appreciate it because, while those are things, that I might have thought of 6 or 8 months or 10 months ago, I might not be thinking about those same things now. So being reminded of that, being reminded of the set system, kind of, maybe readjusting your sites, shooting at a smaller target like you're suggesting, makes all the sense in the world to me. Kind of showing more of a specific value proposition, and maybe that's even too much thought. Yeah, going for those um, target markets, Alzheimer's associations, and things like that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that part about really segmenting and really targeting. It's to me, the way I think about it, it's about laser targeting, right? That exact person. Because we can think in our own minds, this book will help everybody. But the reality is there's a very narrow group of people who it'll help a lot.
yeah,
And those are the people you want to connect with. You want to find those people who it'll help a lot. And then you can work with them, because there's just so many people in the world. You gotta narrow it down as far as possible. So when you find that it's single parents living with grandparents, living with the closer you can target it, right? The more and more specific you can get it. The SEO word would be a long tail keyword, right? So
mm-hmm.
it's putting all those words together. And let's take a look. I want to take a look at your page real quick. I'm going to share my screen. I've got your book page here. Share my screen. Okay, here we are. Let me go to, this is your links, Amazon page. Grandma is my friend. It's taking a second to load this Amazon page. Here we go. Okay, so yeah, this is a paperback, and you've got your description here. I'm gonna let's find your number here, and let's look you up on your ISBN agency page. All right, let's see if this works. I almost never try looking it up this way. Yeah, it did work. Okay, great. All right, so 36 pages, and then you got this button to click to buy on Amazon. So this part to me is great, right? This description and how you compare it to Shel Silverstein, The Giving Tree, Love You Forever. So these are your words, though. Am I right?
Right.
What I challenge you to do, and I think will help you, is to get other people's words. Find ways to get those people's words. And whether that means you're getting in front of the group and you're meeting them and you're talking to them specifically and getting their feedback, whether it's friends and family, right? That's why it's really great to start really as close as possible to yourself, right, with your target audience. So start with friends and family, and then you'll start finding your fans, right? And then spread out. And starting local, all right? So you can say you're a local author when you're working with your local Phoenix-based group that supports Alzheimer's, right? And you could pitch it to a newspaper if you know somebody who's like a reporter, or you know of somebody who knows somebody who's an editor or reporter at a local newspaper, or somebody who supports Alzheimer's through a news source, whether it's a newspaper or a website. These are the ways to grow your marketing, get your message out there. Starting local and then proceeding to get bigger, but knowing as much as possible helps you to get to the bigger spray of getting towards your audience. So we talked, so that's sort of a framework about your book launch. And one of the things that I've been working on, sort of behind the scenes, you looks like you've been a client since 2019. So you may have seen some of the emails where I sent out asking, what is the next thing you guys want from me, right? And so I got the idea from one of my clients said, let's do a book launch software. So it's a checklist and I can know what are all the things I need to do in my book launch, right? So yeah. So here we are talking about that. So that's a good segue. Let me pull that up. So since you have your page here on ISP and Agency, on the new software, it will automatically, when you log in, this is called listchub.com. This is like checklist hub, but all put together. But so this is the home page. When you go there, it says ready to publish more books. But I've already logged in as you. And so when I click on my projects here, you've already got your project here. Grandma's My Friend paperback. And you could click on that and it's going to show you a checklist. You can see here on the left side, these are all the steps you go through for marketing your book, right? So you've already got your information that's coming from the ISBN agency website of your title, author name, format, subject, and the ISBN, right? So you can like actually check things on here, right? And you can mark this complete. And as you can see, it checks it off there.
All right.
You've done that step. Okay, well, you've already got your book designed. You can check that one off too. Look at all this progress you're making. Proofreading. It just tells you a little bit about why each step is important. You know, you just don't want anybody to be turned off by some words in there.
There, and there, and all that.
Spelling error, grammar, whatever that is. Yeah. Proofreading, right? Let's just assume that's done because I'm having fun checking it off. There's your ISBN. That's done. Copyright, right?
Everything's right there, yeah.
It's all
now,
right. Yeah.
Are there going to be links? Like, let's say I don't have a direct link to this copyright. Are you going to submit? Are you going to throw in kind of a hyperlink for us?
Absolutely. I'm glad you asked. So what I've done is at the bottom of each step, so you get a description of each step. But at the bottom of each step, there's this button that says Hire Freelancer. And you could click there, and it's going to open a page. And we've got this whole Freelancer website where I'm going to, right now I'm talking to you, right? You'd be the client in this case. And then I have people that I've been working with over time. What I want to do is start really small, just like what I'm suggesting for everybody with their marketing. I want to start really small with people I know and bring them into the marketplace, people who are able to communicate well and then can do tasks. So then you would post the job, right? And say, oh, this is short term. You could say, I want, what is this, a copyright? You want a copyright registration? Mm-hmm. So you post that. You can select a project. This is new software, so it didn't let me select the project. I'm writing that down. Select a template. It's not a book cover design, so you can't select that one yet. But you could do, what did we just say? This was copyright.
Intellectual property, yeah.
Intellectual property, subcategory, book IP. So just like need to get a U.S. copyright registration, right? And then so you don't need an image there. And then you would fill out the details. And anyway, so when you, there it is, U.S. copyright. Then you say, you know, what you think you want to pay for it, right? $99. I'm making up a price. And then you shouldn't take 6 months. Then you can review it all, right, before you post the job. Is that everything correct? Yes. So I'll post a job. We're going to delete it in a second. So it's not a real job. But this is what it looked like, right? And then so from here, freelancers should be getting emails saying, oh, I'm somebody who's an expert at copyright. So here's your email invitation, or you can click here and manually invite them, right? So here are some freelancers that you can manually invite, and then you'd be able to, well, I mean, I might as well, let's just click. This isn't, not everything is 100% ready right now.
Well, you're not live, right?
This is not, it's live, but it's not real info.
Yeah.
Right? So
no, this would have been a great tool.
Huh?
This would have been a great tool when I was going through the process, and maybe even for my next product, just because of all of the learning experiences I think first timers like myself have to go through. You know, is there a source for this? Do I go to Freelance? And I don't even know if Freelance is still around, but do I go to Freelance for, you know, getting an animator and those sorts of things?
Yeah, absolutely. That's of course, that's the idea. I'm going to delete that one. Let me just go there. So I go to jobs, job, right? I posted this job. I'm going to delete it. Yes, delete it. But, you know, you post a job there, or you can click on, see what jobs are available. If you decide, oh, I want to be a freelancer, right? Let me see what jobs are available. Maybe something fits what I want to do. So all that's there. But let's just go back and look through a little more. So you've got the copyright, Amazon sales page. You've already got that. And there's your link. So there it is. We're just going to pretend you got these things. You can always go back and uncheck them later. If you go, you know what? Oops, I forgot that. Right? Marketing plan. So here we go. This is where it gets the marketing steps 8 through 14. Right? So you want to think about who is your target audience? And it gives you a little help, and you can type in, you know, this is for, you know, family with live-in grandma. I'm just making that up, right? But you could type this in, and then when you are done with your changes, you can click save. It tells you percentage, how much you've done. You can go back in here next time. Oh, where did I leave off? Oh, you know what? I had this idea. Oh, yeah, family with living grandma. Yeah, that was my idea, right? So these are your notes to yourself, and it just takes you through all this stuff and gives it a structure, right? So you can go through some steps in order, one by one, and have some structure to your book launch. And you know, because it's hard to just think it through in your own mind, especially first time through. What in the world am I supposed to do next?
Oh man, it was daunting.
Yeah, but yeah. So we write it all down. We got it as a list, and we could find a way to you know, to do each step, and not everybody has to do every step too. But you do what makes sense in your situation, right? So this is, here, I want to point this one out because this one's a more dangerous step, but a lot of people jump right into it, right? Social media marketing campaign, right? I say dangerous, but what I really mean is there can be a real risk of money, right? Social media marketing, when people go on Facebook and you create a marketing campaign and then you go, oh, I don't know how much I should spend. Facebook suggests that I should spend $100 a day. Okay, I'll try that, right? And what they find out after that first week on Facebook is, well, I just spent a lot of money and I don't see any sales from this. Oh, but Facebook's encouraging me to change my ad a little bit. Right? The thing is, this is really super advanced, right? A social media marketing campaign is something to do very far down the line. After you've done all these things that don't cost you any money, Look at all these things you could do without almost spending anything, right? Um, you know, so I always want to just give people a heads up, like, this is not bad. In fact, it's rocket fuel. But if you don't have a very, very precise direction, then your rocket might go into the ground. If you're ready for this Facebook part of things and you're going to shoot up to the sky, that's great. But you'll know, when you're ready for that.
So on something like this, Michael, is
Yeah.
this something that you would recommend to take the time with somebody who's got the experience and honing in on that target market? If, like, let's say I know that there's a lot of grandmas that use Facebook for their knitting pages. And this person is an expert with the knitting page market on Facebook. Is that something then you would say, I'm going to give that person their credibility and the resources to create me a good marketing campaign and do something like that, if at that step you're ready?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of homework you can do before you get to the social media marketing step, right? In most cases, but having identified who your target market is, knowing exactly what your avatar looks like because you sold to them face to face. You did a library event, you did an event at a church group, you did an event at the Alzheimer's support group, at the after school PTA, right? You've met people in person. You know who the person is who's going to buy. Then you can tell that social media expert some informed information. Otherwise, if they know everything and you know nothing, then you have to trust them with your money, and that can be tricky, right? So when it gets to large amounts of money, that's where I want people to not risk, because I've done it and it doesn't feel good, right? And I know myself, and I still do it all the time. In fact, I've done it with this website, right? I just spent 6 months building this thing, right? And I don't know if anybody's going to want to use it, but I hope they will, right? And I built it with you in mind, and with other people in mind who I've talked to through emails, and I've had other one-on-ones, in previous years as well, right? When I've either done free or paid marketing sessions with people, right? So that those years and that experience has given me the knowledge, right? And it's still a risk. So it's always a risk, really, but it's about how do you limit your risk. I know I'm going to keep making projects, so I want to make sure that I'm targeting those people who hopefully I can help people in a way that is welcome, because I'm going to keep making projects. That's who I am.
Yeah.
So I hope I could match the needs of my people. That's the way
this is really good, and I think seeing it in a step-by-step process like this is going to be really good for when I undertake another project, for sure.
Yeah. And speaking of that, that's one thing also that I need to put in here is, one of the things is, especially if you already have a book, once you get a little further along, once you've made some sales, once you've reached your people, at some point, hopefully, you're going to hear, Michael, what's your next book? Oh, maybe you should do one about this one next, right? Oh, maybe you should do it in Japanese next, right? You start to hear this feedback from your clients and your customers, right? Then that can help to inform you. And this is how you start to create a series. And as you start to create a series, things become more profitable, and you really get the ball rolling that way, because people know you from the last one, and they were able to work, they supported you then, they're going to support you in the next one, and, get the snowball rolling. So hopefully that's helpful.
Very. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I think those thoughts as a first time author, you're I laugh at myself to even call myself that, right? But when you are um, handing people copies that you know, and you're soliciting their feedback, I think those questions always, you know, if they're true, if they're not just, you know, saying, oh yeah, this is nice, and you know, if they go further and they say, oh, what about, have you thought about this? And it's, you know, I hear, because the illustrator that I used layered in things like a dinosaur throughout the book, and then they thought, well, maybe a dinosaur would be the next step, or you know, maybe this type of car that I see in the book would be another extension of that. So you do get a lot of that feedback from people, so that's always nice to hear too.
Well, it's cool because it's like a creative process, and in fact, it is a creative process, right? And you're putting message out there, people are responding to your message, and they're getting ideas. It's exciting.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Michael, for joining me today, and for sharing everybody your book. And I want to make sure that we keep in contact. We'll keep emailing each other, and people will see this video and they'll know more about your book. And hopefully you'll get those face-to-face book sales so you can keep moving forward with your marketing.
I've got a list. I can't wait to see the video, because I'll probably need to be reminded of some of those things again. And I appreciate the opportunity, Michael. It was great to get to know you. And I look forward to looking at your site next and seeing how it might be able to help me out further with this project.
Nice. Thanks so much. All right. Well, take care, Michael.
All right. You too. Stay well. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.